All right, here's your weekly overview for the week of September 21st to the 25th. Hopefully everybody's kind of moving along with their graffiti project, and this week we are adding the final touches to that project. I've had a few questions in the past about students getting a little bit confused about the rough draft versus the final draft. Hopefully at this point everybody understood that the final draft was a separate drawing. And if you're an online learner, you were to do that in your sketchbook. Okay, so basically you would just take a blank sketchbook page, start your final draft, and like I said, hopefully we're moving along with that and hopefully adding the finishing touches this week. A couple reminders, and I want to start off by emphasizing this. Whether you are an at-home learner or a learner in school, one thing that you need to make sure that you're doing is every day, okay, every single day, you really need to make sure that you're looking at the week at a glance, reading the day that we are currently on, and you're doing everything in that column that represents the day that you're in. So if you look at Monday, okay, you look at Monday, workday. When you read workday, don't stop reading. Okay, trust me, I wouldn't type all this stuff out if I didn't want you to read it. Okay, so today is a day for students to work on their graffiti projects for the entire 40 minutes that's expected. So if you're at home, spend 40 minutes on your project. Our goal for today is to continue with yesterday's work and complete 2/3 of the coloring or the pencil shading. So 2/3 of your project on Monday, which is probably today that you're listening to this, needs to be completed. The projects are going to be due. I'm actually going to change this date to the 23rd. So it's going to be due on Wednesday. Okay. And I'll go ahead and copy that over to the other days of the week. All right, so it's going to be due Wednesday, September 23rd. All right, so on Wednesday, you're going to finish your project, and then you're going to upload it to Polaris for a grade. When you do upload your projects, if you need a reminder on how to do that, there's a video in your class resources. But when you upload a project, make sure that you're looking very closely at all the things that are on that document that you upload with. So at the bottom of your project document, there's going to be a couple questions that are going to be a little bit of a self-reflection so that I understand things that you struggled on and things that you thought you did well. Okay, so make sure you fill that out in complete sentences, in a complete paragraph if it asks for that. All right, now let's say you're a little bit ahead of the game and you already moved up to Wednesday. What's next? Okay, what's next? Our upcoming project after the graffiti is going to be an animal eye project. And I have some really cool samples that I'll put in the sample folder for you to look at. This is a project that we've done in the past. Typically for a normal school year and a normal class session, the way that we would do it is we would actually do this on black paper. We would focus on things like emphasis and contrast and texture. But obviously, because we have remote learners, because we are unable to share all the material in class, one thing that we are doing for this year, for this particular project, is it's going to be more of a drawing project, similar to how the graffiti project went, where I'll give you some options as far as like materials that you may have at home. But really, the only thing we can require is a sketchbook and a pencil. So just kind of keep that in mind as we move through this and as you look at the examples, because the examples may look slightly different than how we're doing it this year. So what's next? We are going to be doing an animal eye project, which is pretty cool. I know a lot of people have some success with this project. I know a lot of people get excited about it because it's kind of an interesting thing to do or to draw. So you are going to be researching an up-close animal eye. So when you go to Google, you want to type in up-close animal eye. Now, when you pick your reference, okay, I'll actually do this for you. Google, up-close animal eye. So I like to click on images. What I want to do is I want to pick on an animal eyeball that I find interesting personally. Okay. Now, this does not have to be a specific animal. So I know like some of you are really big fans of horses. I think this is a horse eyeball. Just because you like horses doesn't mean that that's necessarily the animal eye that you should pick for the project. You should pick an animal eye that you find interesting. Okay, so like if we get fixated on a specific animal, like an up close rabbit eyeball, it will, some of these may not be interesting enough for the project. Some of these may not look as cool as maybe like a reptile would, right? So you really want to just generally search up close animal eye. And when you do that, you want to pick the eyeball that you find interesting and also one that you think would meet your skill level. So if you're somebody that um, typically has a hard time with your drawing skills, well, maybe you don't want to pick something like this where there's a ton of detail, a ton of texture, things like that. Maybe you want to pick something a little bit easier. Okay, so like I said, sorry, Mr. Andy, the custodian, just walked in. So you want to pick something that meets your skill level, something that you're going to be capable of doing, and you're not going to be super stressed about. But it also goes both ways. So if you're somebody that is a little bit more talented, or you're somebody that really is interested in doing an up close animal eye with like certain details and textures, and you think you're capable of doing that, you don't want to choose something that's super simple. All right, sorry about that. I got interrupted again. So just make sure that you're picking something that meets your skill level, and you should be good to go. All right. So that is how you want to get started. You want to pick one animal eye. And if we go back to your week at a glance, on Thursday, you should definitely be starting that rough draft. The rough draft should probably take you 30 to 40 minutes. I would say that this week, you will be able to complete that rough draft in class. And good news, really good news, and hopefully you're watching this video because I'm sure a lot of people will ask about this. Sketchbook number 5 is your animal eye rough draft. Okay, so there's no additional sketchbook. Okay, so you don't need to go in and look up the theme for this week. The theme for this week is your animal eye rough draft. Okay, so hopefully that saves you a little bit of time. Hopefully it saves you a little bit of work. And so on Thursday, you're going to get an intro to the project. It'll be talking about elements and principles of design that we're going to use, how to begin, okay, which is going to be more specific of what I just talked about. And then you will actually start your sketchbook number 5. Okay. Now on Friday, what you'll do is you'll finish that rough draft. Then you will go ahead and photograph it, upload it for the 30 process points for that week's sketchbook assignment. Okay. Hopefully that helps. There will be more specific tutorials on what to do throughout the week. And I look forward to seeing those rough drafts. Thanks.